NiK Kacy! Woo! Then the first drink of choice, or the first game. It's been a minute, y'all. A little rusty.
You want another drink?
Yeah.
And I asked, like, why don't you make, gender-free shoes? Like, why don't you make, masculine shoes for women, but not necessarily men's shoes for women, but just, like, why does it have to be a man or a woman's last, which is the shape, right? Yeah. Everyone's response was like, oh, yeah, like, we know there's a niche, but it's just not worth it. And so literally, like, at the end of the day, I was like, wow, all of these people are telling me I'm not worth it. And my people are not, like, people like me are not worth it to them. Yeah. And I think that was the catalyst to make me be like, you know what, then I'm going to do it.
I'm telling y'all, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this right now. The Equality Fashion Week. I'm telling y'all, the saliva is coming onto the microphone. Get your tickets at equalityfashionweek.com.
Our community is filled with so much talent, and it's so inspirational. And yet we are so underrepresented and people don't get to see that. So I want to utilize this as a platform for the rest of the world to see just like how amazing we are and like blow their minds away.
Y'all better come my way. I'ma make a statement day by day. Y'all better come my way. Y'all better
and
come
welcome
my way.
to Jampacked. I'm your host, Jamila, and it has been quite a long break, but we are back, I promise. For realsies this time, we are back. And we have quite a special treat. This is actually someone we've been wanting to have on the show. And I'm so geeked. I am so geeked that they are here with us. They are the founder of the gender-free footwear, NiK Kacy Footwear. They identify as gender fluid, queer, and transmasculine. They designed their first collection of masculine of center, gender-neutral shoes in order to provide a solution for the ongoing problem of individuals unable to purchase men's-styled shoes due to limitations in sizing set by the shoe industry based on gender. Their first collection, named Fortune, consists of 5 classically masculine-looking shoes, now modernized with colorful contrast and reproportioned to fit with who identify in whatever spirit they deem fit. Their desire for gender equality extends further by expanding their label to include an upcoming feminine of center collection featuring high-heeled styled shoes in the same European unisex sizes ranging from 34 to 47, which would be in women's, that would be a 3.5 to a men's 4 or 14, as well as a unisex accessory line, including the holster wallets, which they have on today. So make sure you take note and check it out on YouTube. They also successfully completed a Kickstarter campaign in March of 2015 to fund the creation of their Fortune line in hopes to develop a truly gender-neutral footwear and fashion collection so that all people can express their authentic selves without being boxed in a gender binary. They are also the creator of the Equality Fashion Week, which is also activism through fashion. The Equality Fashion Week is the first and only premier LGBTQ plus focused fashion week in Los Angeles. Again, in Los Angeles. They are doing the damn thing. So just so you know, it's consisting of a 3-day pop-up experience of queer and inclusive designers and vendors, starting with an exclusive one-night only high-end opening gala fashion show during LA Fashion Week in October, which is coming up. So make sure that you get your tickets. And they are also on the Advisory Board of Gendrfwd. They passionately work on projects that make a positive impact in the LGBTQ plus community. Their goal is to be able to donate a number of styles in various sizes from each collection into the Los Angeles LGBT centers. Youth utilize the life improvement services there, such as the GED accreditation, and job search services will also have access to professional shoes for important events like job interviews and graduation ceremonies. So they're also helping as well. And to also keep in mind that many of the LGBTQ plus Youth are left homeless due to neglect and homophobia from their families. And the center provides a much needed service that helps these young people create a better life for themselves and allows them to be in a safe environment so that they can be their true, authentic selves. And they are also a longtime committee member and host for the LA LGBTQ Center's annual An Evening with Women event, which raises much needed funds for all the women's services at the world's largest LGBT center. And you may have also seen them. They've been featured in numerous publications, including Fortune and Forbes magazine, the Huffington Post, Footwear News, She Wired, Autostraddle Paste, as well as Dapper Q. And you do not want to miss the second annual Equality Fashion Week themed Unity. It's going down from October 13th to October 16th with the opening fashion show taking place on Sunday, October 13th at the Global Theater in downtown Los Angeles. And then October 14th to 16th, it is at High Art Tattoo, and that's going to be a pop-up experience. They also produced and directed a short documentary, It Does Get Better, which they hope can help raise awareness for the LGBTQ community and promote visibility and community amongst our brothers and sisters and allies. And this is a really, I love this philosophy of theirs. Fashion is about style, and style is not limited by gender or gender expression. Folks, I bring to y'all the one and the only NiK Kacy.
Thank you. That was a mouthful over there. That was a lot.
It's like the more I read it, I'm like, they gotta change the name. They gotta add the Q and the plus and all of that. Like,
well, I mean, when do you stop? You know?
Yeah.
So I think at some point, sometimes you just gotta get the gist of it, and everyone else understands. Like for me, I just think adding the plus always helps.
Yeah.
Because that creates, an exponential potential for whatever will keep evolving as we grow, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I thought it was interesting that they still haven't added more to it. And I know it's kind of just been, a staple of the community for as long as, it's we've been having LGBTQ plus, activism and rights and issues that have been going on. It just occurred to me. I was reading it and I was like, wow, like, you want to be inclusive completely. And it just reading back over my notes, I'm like, there's some letters missing. And, just want to be inclusive to everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they used to be called the Gay and Lesbian Center, right?
Right.
And before that, they were called something else, right? So I think when they evolved to the LGBT Center, they actually did a lot of research and surveys to figure out what was the best way to rebrand.
Yeah.
And for based on their whatever research, that's what they came up with. I respect that.
Yeah.
I think from a graphical perspective, I can see like if you're too inclusive, like how are you even gonna design that logo? It's just gonna be like all letters, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But at least they're trying. So.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree. And I appreciate you coming down. And this is such a huge deal. Not only because it's like a full circle moment, but even before I did the fashion show last year, I had always seen you around and heard, and we it was almost like that. 6 degrees of separation. Like we know the same folks, but it's like we still never got that formal introduction. And it was. Last year, being able to walk for Dapper Boy, and I was able to find the beautiful laminate of the picture of me walking for the first annual Equality.
And also, can I just call out the fact that could anyone tell that this was your first time walking? Because look at that, you killed it, you fucking slayed.
Oh my
God,
that. I was so
you
nervous.
owned it. You're just like
I can tell you the amount of times I had bubble guts throughout the day. Like you would not believe it. Like it was such a beautiful experience. And I've never modeled in my life. Like never have I been entertained to go model for someone, or I'm just not. To me, I've just never thought of myself as that person,
Right.
and my life completely changed after that, and just for in so many different ways, and feeling confident in myself, and seeing the confidence and the beauty that exuded that entire day, from the morning to nightfall. It was like, like this shit is going down tonight.
Yeah.
You know, it was such an awesome experience. So I really appreciate you being here. And
thank you. It's my honor to be here, and also just beautiful to be able to hear you say that about your experience, because that really was the inspiration for like why doing something like this is so important, is because so many people in our community were kind of raised within the confines of society to think we're not beautiful enough, we're not this enough, we're not that enough.
Yeah.
And I think Equality Fashion Week is, you know, me doing my best to create a platform so that all of us have a stage, literally, you know, to shine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you know, I get goosebumps. Like I was telling you, like every time I talk about it, it gives me goosebumps. And I just have to say, like, it was such an incredible, from beginning to end, and you're so professional, and the whole entire night was amazing. And to see, you know, Lee Don Hershey, who's also the brand ambassador for NiK Kacy Footwear, as well as they've also been a guest on the show, and to see Carmen just killing it, like just seeing them just kill that catwalk. Even in rehearsal, I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I was telling Bay, I was like, yo, I think I got a crush on Carmen right now. Like,
who doesn't?
Right?
Yeah.
She was killing it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like, wow, Carmen is amazing. And Lee, like, you know, I already told Lee I have a crush on them. So I was just like, this is, I have a crush on everybody. So welcome.
Me too.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
But before I get completely, you know, carried away and have the heart eyes, you know, as I speak with you, there's a little order of business. So for folks listening for the first time, we usually do a drink of choice, and your drink of choice was actually vodka and club soda.
Correct.
Was there a particular reason why?
I think ever since I started drinking, I went through different phases, and it probably started with, I think it was like amaretto and Coke at first, which is like, now when I think about it, I'm like, ooh, how did I even do that? Because it's so sweet, right?
Yeah.
And now what I drink is literally like the blandest, clearest, cleanest drink possible. But I think it's just evolution of taste buds and appreciating alcohol.
Yeah. That's I was so excited that you were doing something with the club soda and with the vodka. I was like, I haven't really been drinking a whole lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe that had to do with not doing the show, you know, too much this summer. But I was pretty geeked that you chose this. So don't think it's too bland, because I'm really excited that we're drinking this. And then you also may hear Chihuahua mix Zora.
You mean my new bae?
Exactly. You
yeah.
may hear Zora.
She's like, what?
NiK Kacy's got the touch right now, the magic touch. For right now, she's hypnotized. And then the first drink of choice, or the first game. It's been a minute, y'all. A little rusty.
You want another drink?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a sip. Here's Midori to explain the first game that we're gonna play, and we are playing Startup.
We're gonna play Silicon Valley Startup, and I'm gonna help you come up with your company name. I'm gonna give you your target users and your industry, and then I will allow both of you to pitch the idea to Brooke and I. And then we're going to throw another curveball your way with your company, and then we'll choose from there which one we think has the best company. It's all fun.
All right.
Okay? And it's okay.
Bring it.
All right.
Bring it.
So I'm going to start with you, Nick.
All right.
We're going to start with... What is your shoe size?
My shoe size? 38.
38?
Oh.
So your company name is going to be 38 Bumps.
38 Bumps.
Okay?
Okay.
You got that?
Okay.
All right. And your target users are for people who cheat on the IQ test.
Damn.
Okay.
And it says that your industry is online dating.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't think I drank enough for this.
38 Bumps. So your company name is 38 Bumps for people who cheat on the IQ test. And your service is online dating.
And so now I have to like pitch you the idea of my company.
Correct.
Okay.
You can be creative or as funny as silly as possible, as you want, or serious as you want. Up to you. It's your company.
How much time do I have?
Okay, I'll give you yours. Sure. Yours is. Let's see. Give me a color.
Black.
Black Pop is your company name.
Black Pop.
And it's for bad landlords.
Oh, damn. Black Pop. Damn. Okay. Shit. Okay.
Setup.
This is 100% a setup. Okay.
And the industry is photography.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I've also got to pitch an idea.
Correct.
Pitch what we do.
Correct.
Okay.
We are your investors.
All right. Well, if you ever have tenants complaining of their shitty landlords, probably shouldn't curse in an executive meeting, but hey, whatever. We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it 100% real. If your tenants do not have proof that their landlords are being unfair and shitty, we've got just the thing for you at Black Pop, where we take photos and document these bad landlords and use it for better to make them better landlords, to help them learn. I don't know, to help them be better landlords.
Okay.
Or put in a good landlord.
All right.
And how can that help with the hot trend of social bots?
Social bots? A social robot?
Oh, bots.
I just learned this whole bot thing from the kid.
Yeah.
And because he's like, oh, you're such a bot. And I'm like, what the hell is a bot? Apparently it's like a robot, or it's like a term they use. It's a term.
No.
It's a term they use in like some game.
No, it means that you're like a bad player. You're a trash player.
You're a trash player. So social.
I did not know that.
Yeah, me neither.
I thought it was like the bots they use on all the social media programs where they just like send you messages.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
When
Follow
when
you.
calls you bot, that means you're a bad player.
That you're bad at the game, apparently.
Bad player.
But in this case, it's probably a robot, just like what you were saying.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Wait, what is that for?
Okay.
It's the hot trend
Oh.
So how am I going to use this hot trend?
with photography and bad landlords.
Posting online.
Are you asking? All right, I think I understand the premise now. All right.
Just want to put myself out there.
All right.
Help you with your pitch.
Yeah. Thank you for going first. Thanks for taking one for the team and going
Maybe
first.
our people will call you.
Yeah. All right, let me give this a shot then. All right, so my company is called 38 Bumps, and we are an online dating app, mobile app that helps people who are really nervous about dating and meeting people. Like when you get goosebumps, that's why it's 38 Bumps. And it's for the audience of between 30 to 50, because that's kind of an age range where you're like, I don't know how to date anymore because it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So the app basically helps aggregate information about the users who sign up. And, it's for people who are really lazy, who don't like to study and don't like to, work too hard at something, you know, so like people who cheat on IQ tests and stuff. And it helps them basically have the information about each user and figures out like what are the things that they're most like they try to avoid most. And so you as the other user who's interested in them, if it matches up, it can help you kind of cater to what they're already afraid of, so that you can like let them know like I'm also afraid of this as well, and we could match up really well because of that.
I like that.
I like that too. How can this help with the hot topic of ride sharing?
Oh, so yeah, this is an amazing opportunity to incorporate the rideshare industry, because you can partner up with folks like Uber and Lyft, and you can basically like once you match up with that person, you can get the ride and pick them up together and then go out on your date.
Interesting. Savage. Dropped bars. Wow.
Did I do okay?
My company just went out of business.
What was it, 38
Bumps, yeah. Hey, chicken dinner.
Right? Man, that was the DJ Clue. The bomb. Yeah, Job Clue's bomb right there. That was a real one. Wow. That was amazing. Yeah. Now you worked at Google for 12 years, and you
No, just 3.
Oh, it was 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, I was at an ad agency. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So you worked at Google, and you felt something was missing, and you weren't able to express your full self, and you wanted to travel and transition, getting the top surgery, and you knew that if you traveled, that you would visit Europe, and you actually went to an international shoe fair in Italy. Those shoes were for men, and they typically don't start men's shoe sizes until size 7. And from there, you were inspired to create what is now NiK Kacy Footwear, a gender-free footwear. What was the deciding moment that encouraged you to leave the stability of a job at Google to follow your heart?
Yeah, so I mean, I love Google. I'm like a huge Google fan. I've always been. And so when I worked at my ad agency, where I did work for almost 10 years, I realized like I literally had told myself like I need to change my job, but I don't want to go anywhere where I'm not passionate about. And the only places I wanted to work, number one, was Google. So when my friend who actually worked there, all of a sudden, like a few weeks later, actually reached out, was like, "Hey, we want to interview you." I was like, "Really?" It's like I put it out in the universe, and it just came. Like I couldn't believe it.
That's amazing.
So I went to interview and got the job, and was there for 3 years. And honestly, like it's probably one of the best places I've ever worked at. I would love to work there anytime, But given the fact that I was someone who was a workaholic, and I just for 20 years I'd been working, I never took vacations. I just wasn't raised with that mentality of like self-care. And so I realized like at the age that I was, and I was, single then, and I was still young enough and healthy enough that I can take, basically bite the bullet and take a risk because it wouldn't really impact anybody else. So I decided that, I wasn't feeling completely fulfilled because I had so many ideas and so much creativity that wasn't being utilized. Yeah. And so I was very well supported by my team and my managers, and they were very, very caring, like when I told them I wanted to transition and I wanted to go travel, they were all very, very supportive about it.
That's amazing.
And, we had been going through a lot of reorgs at the company, and it's kind of basically like the thing I was hired to do wasn't really available anymore. And they were like, well, you can try to find something else, or you can create your own role. And I was like, maybe sometimes the universe is just telling you like, hey, here's your opportunity to go do the thing you should have been doing, Yeah. And I left, and I got all my surgeries, and then I went to Europe for 9 weeks, and I told them I wanted to start my own company because I'm tired of not finding shoes that fit my identity, and my feet. And so I thought the first thing I should do is go to a shoe fair and figure out why. Because maybe I don't need to create it. Maybe it already exists, but I just don't know. So I went to the shoe fairs, and I talked to so many people. And, you know, at these shoe fairs, they're from all over the world. And a lot of them are there every year. They're just like the people in the industry have been in there for like 30 years. So everyone knows everybody, right? So I walk in, and everyone's literally like, who is this person? Nobody wanted to talk to me. And I was very lucky that while I was still here before I left, I got introduced to, you know, mutual friends of people in the industry who then connected me to somebody else who lived there. And I'll never forget him, Giovanni. And he's like this old guy who's been in the industry for like 40 years. And he met me at the shoe fair and took time to introduce me to people. And that was the only time people were willing to talk to me, was because he introduced me. And he was so respected and recognized there that, like, people were like, okay, you're not some crazy Asian from China trying to come steal our ideas, you know? And so what the overwhelming feedback that I got, because every time I tried to tell them what I wanted to do, and I asked, like, why don't you make, you know, gender-free shoes? Like, why don't you make, you know, masculine shoes for women, but not necessarily men's shoes for women, but just break up, like, why does it have to be a man or a woman's last, which is the shape, right? And everyone's response was like, oh yeah, like, we know there's a niche, but it's just not worth it. You know, and so literally, like, at the end of the day, I was like, wow, all of these people are telling me I'm not worth it. And my people are not, like, people like me are not worth it to them. And I think that was the catalyst to make me be like, you know what, then I'm gonna do it. Fuck it, you know. No one else is gonna do it. I'll do it. Yeah. And literally, like, after that, I went to Spain, Portugal, and in Italy. Like, I made samples from different shoe companies that I met at the shoe fair. And I realized that all they could hear though was making a man's shoe for women. They couldn't grasp the concept that it was not about the man, but that just, like, their style and then there's size. It's not about gender, you know? And so I ended up working in Portugal because they were the closest to understanding that concept. And even then, there's still a lot of misogyny and transphobia and homophobia. I mean, I would walk into a factory and it would go silent. And at first I was like, oh, maybe because I'm new. But then I realized they were all whispering to one another, and it was because they were asking, like, is that a guy or a girl? And, like, people wouldn't look at me when they talked to me, or they would talk over me or around me. Like, and I'd be like, I'm right here. You know, like.
Oh, that's so infuriating.
It was very, and it was really challenging in terms of, like, you know, your emotions and your heart, you know. And I had to even talk to my agent. I was lucky enough to find a new agent when I was in Portugal, and I was like, listen, like, you're my agent. If you don't respect me enough to translate to me, how do I expect anyone else to respect me? Right? And so he had to learn to adjust his behavior, you know, and I think it was hard for them because they don't know how to treat me, because they only look at people as male or female in this binary, right? And so they're like, if you're a man, I'll respect you and talk to you. But if you're a woman, then, like, we just talk amongst the men, you know? And then here I am, and I think they were just kind of like, what do we do with you, you know? And
That's
so
infuriating. Like, I mean, how do you differentiate, you know, the emotional and the business, and not get completely emotionally wrapped up and just, like, cuss them the fuck out and be like, you're gonna fucking respect me in this motherfucker today? Like, how did you
there were so many moments I would just be, like, in a factory with all these men speaking in this other language, and I would have to be like, hey, can you please translate? Or just being patient enough to, like, let them finish. And then hope that there's going to be translated to me. And I could feel myself fuming so many times. Like, I could feel my ears getting red, and I'm just ready to blow up because I'm just like, fuck you, you know? But then, like, having the professionalism to be like, you know what? Just because they're not respecting me doesn't mean I need to disrespect them in return, you know? And so I waited till we got back in the car. And then I was like, listen, I know maybe this was not your intention, but this is what happened. This was my experience. And I would appreciate if you would alter your behavior and treat me with the respect I deserve. Because after all, I'm your client. I'm paying you. So if you don't treat me with respect, I can't expect these people to do it properly, you know? And it got better. And it got to, you know, and there was so many different layers because now this was like trans, you know, experience, you know, minority experience, being, you know, Asian, being female born, you know, like all of these things. And then beyond that was like me coming in with this whole new concept where like literally everyone I work with, from the shoemaker to the last maker to the pattern maker, everyone, I'm fighting against the wall constantly basically because everyone's like, no, that's not how you make a shoe. And so every step of the way, every time I'm like, this is my design and I want it like this, they're like, no, this is not how you make a shoe. And I was like, not yet. Just because that hasn't been done doesn't mean that's not how you do it.
Exactly.
You know, and I have to like be very mindful in the way I communicate. Like, you know, if, for example, the last maker, these people have been making last like the shape, the molds for decades, for generations, right? So who am I to tell them they're wrong? Certainly not me, you know, but I had to really explain to them, like, I respect your experience. Because of your experience, that's why I'm here working with you. But also respect my vision. Like everyone had to be the first to think of something, right? So just because you've been doing something one way doesn't mean that it's the only way.
Yeah.
Just give me the benefit of the doubt. I am paying for this product, so just make it and prove me wrong. You want to tell me my vision is wrong? Show me. Just do it.
Yeah.
And so finally they did it. And I remember the first boot that we did, and, you know, this was after months and months. And so my agent and I were at dinner in Portugal, and they're like, oh, the shoe's going to be finished tonight. And so we waited at dinner, and they delivered at the restaurant. And so here we are sitting at, you know, you're my agent, I'm here, and the box is sitting here. And I was like, okay, let's open this, you know?
Yeah.
So we open it up, I take it out, and I'm looking at it. And then I put it in front of my agent. I was like, okay, what do you think? Honestly, you know? And he was like, Nick, I'll be honest with you. When I saw your design at first and your concept, I thought, oh, this is going to look like shit. And, you know, I was like, and then he's like, but I'm looking at it now and it looks beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, even, like, with the last maker, I remember the first time the last was finished, there was, like, a circle of them, you know, just because I don't know why. Like, it's always such a novelty, I guess. And so, like, there was a circle of them, and I look at the last maker, and I was like, so what do you think?
Yeah.
And he just looked at me, he was like, he's good. Yeah. So, like, little moments like that where, like, these were people who were so stuck in their belief of, like, this is the way we make shoes.
Yeah.
And, like, and then for them to acknowledge that, you know what? They were wrong.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful thing, because I hope that it helped expand their mind just a little bit more, so that maybe from that moment on, they'll start doing more things that challenge the norm, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, like, I wish that there was a NiK Kacy Footwear growing up. Like, I could show you the shoes that I used to wear as, like, a baby tomboy, and, like, you know, from the Doc Martens, like they were like really high up, but it was, you know, I would try to wear as many masculine shoes as I could get my hands on that didn't look crazy but still fit the style of what I was doing. And like I wish that there was a NiK Kacy Footwear when I was younger. I mean, growing up, you know, and being an immigrant, coming from Hong Kong at 7 years old, and you came out to your close friends in college while playing 20 Questions, waiting to be seated with them, and they asked you if you had ever kissed a girl, and you also had eventually came out to your mom, and she was totally cool with it, and even shared a secret of her own with you, in a sense, almost stealing your thunder, of like that grand.
Right, I'm all
out.
nervous.
Yeah,
and then I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
And like, fast forward to you transitioning as an adult. How was that process when it came to your family, and how did that change your relationship with them today? Because your mom is almost, in a sense, like that outsider in the family, right? Like she's been completely accepting, embracing, and loving of it all.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because in my family, I mean, I've been gone from the family, like moved out here for college, and I've stayed. So I feel like, you know, I've been here now, 20-something years. So I feel a little bit distant from the family, even though like I know I still love them, but we never talk about like my relationships or my sexuality or my gender identity. So my mom really is the only person that I really talk to in the family about that, because obviously she's my rock, like she's my mom. And growing up with a single parent, she was kind of like, still is like my everything, you know. And so in fact sometimes I feel like I think I had a friend that said once that after she met my mom she understood my type in women. And I was kind of like, what do you mean? Because my mom is like fabulous, very fashionable, beautiful, the popular girl, and incredible performer too. Like she sings and can perform. She's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So in fact, the first fashion show I did in New York, I think it was for Rainbow Fashion Week. Yeah, I think it was Rainbow Fashion Week with Jag. And I asked her to model for me. And she was like on cloud 9.
Yeah.
Like she was literally like, yes, So
cool.
So yeah, when she walked to have her on the runway for the first time, it was an incredibly amazing moment for me, because that is literally like, not only is she supportive of my identity, my sexuality, but then even me taking the chance to like throw away this career to do something crazy.
Yeah.
And her being the first person to be like, yeah, I'm gonna walk for you, and proudly like buys every shoe that I design, So yeah, I mean it's
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so awesome to have like that love, especially from your mom.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, I think with the transition though, just to go back to your question, sorry because I deviated, but there are certain limitations, I think, to how much I think your parent can support you, because there's still fear for them. And I think parents in general, when they're not accepting, is mostly coming from fear. Because parents, I think, love their children, right? But if they disagree and they go against you, it's usually because of their own personal fears for you, and probably because they come from a different generation, a different experience. And so even when I was transitioning, I actually didn't tell my mom until 1 week before my surgery. Oh, wow. And like there was moments where I was like, man, if I could feel like I could have her here to take care of me, that would have been great. Yeah. But I also knew that like it might be a lot for her, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so I waited right before, because then I know she can't like talk me out of it. She can't do anything, And so we were talking on the phone, and I'm like nonchalantly like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna have surgery next week, And she's just like, what? Yeah, and literally like I think as soon as I told her what surgery it was, she was about to be like, yeah, like, and then before she continued, she stopped, and then she was like, are you sure? I was like, I've thought about this my whole life, like I'm absolutely sure, for as long as I can. From the moment like boobs started growing, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then she just let it go. And that was really a beautiful thing that she did, because I didn't have to defend myself or argue about it or feel bad about it.
Yeah.
And she's just like, okay, And but then it's funny, because then she was like, when we talk about hormones, she was like, okay, but just don't do that. There's always just like one more thing, like you just, okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm so proud of you, but like, just don't do that part, Yeah. And so I've been on T now actually for almost 2 years, and I haven't told her. I'm like just waiting
for her. Listening, Mom.
Yeah, I know. Like I just figure like one day she might just be on the phone and be like, why is your voice so deep all of a sudden? I don't know. But I figure if it's just like a gradual change, like, because I think older folks or parents from a different generation have in their mind a very different mentality of like what these transitions mean, whereas our experience is something that's so much more current and understanding that it's different.
Yeah.
So I rather just kind of like experience it for myself and see if this is what I need to be who I am, and then if she notices, then I'll explain then.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we're gonna shake it up. We're gonna go to Pictionary now. Stick figures, here I come. Okay. Oh, it's all right. Trust me. This Your drawing is always gonna be better than mine. Oh, a heel. A high heel. A high stiletto? All right! Yes! I want something! I know!
You're so happy that you got that.
I am!
Not bad photo. Not bad picture.
Well, I don't know what the front. I'm like, what the hell is that?
No, you got this part. This part.
Yeah. I was hoping I wouldn't have to draw the front.
You were trying to give her some time.
Yeah.
I got you. You guys are both doing green, okay?
Okay.
They did green, you're doing green.
Okay. Okay.
You ready? This is the green one.
As ready as I'm ever gonna be. Let me know when it's
Ready?
I mean, I got an easy one. I'm ready.
You have to guess this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Do 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 do. Martini glass.
Okay.
Tooth. Candy. Cavities. Is it just one word? 2 words. Tooth. Is tooth one of the words? Okay. Oh.
Time out.
This is a sweet tooth.
Sweet tooth.
I was thinking candy, but I can't draw candy.
No, that was right. I did say candy.
You did?
Yeah. I did, but I didn't know I was right because you were kind of like, no.
You supposed to, if they got tooth, you're supposed to say, like, tooth is the second word.
Yeah.
They thought that tooth was the first one.
I'm not good with it. Pictionary.
You're fired.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not on my team. I was kidding.
I cannot.
No, you're a good guesser, though.
Only bring me over for Pictionary if you need someone to guess really well. Oh, man. So do I have to do a fun fact, or what's...
No, you don't have to do a fun fact. I think NiK is having a new line come out, right?
Well, right now I'm actually focusing on holsters, and I didn't know if I can like kind of chime in. I don't know how much of your editing stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But there was a part that you were reading that was about the new high heel collection, which I am working on. It's just like been on the back burner.
Oh, okay.
And the collection that I have released is called Destiny, and it's basically a whole gender neutral line.
Okay.
So like my combat hate boots, my Giorgios, like they're all basically designs where like you look at it and you literally can like you cannot say it's like a man or woman's shoe. Like it just literally is for everyone. You
Nice.
know?
Okay.
But I am starting to just focus more on the holsters because shoes are just so complicated and challenging.
Yeah.
So the holsters I think is something I've designed something really unique that I think is pretty much nobody has done yet. Like there's a lot of holsters out there, but like nothing that mine is like 5 different configurations.
I
you
like
know.
yours so much.
Thank
Can
you.
Show Brooke.
Yeah.
It's almost in the sense of it's like a wallet. It's everything you can put in there. Your phone. Your
Well, but the best part about this is actually it's like imagine like Legos.
Mm-hmm.
You can take it all apart and then you can remove like you can just wear one.
Yeah.
Or you can remove both of them, just wear it as a harness.
Nice.
And like or you can like take one side off and make it like a messenger bag.
Yeah.
And there's so many different things.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and you can adjust this to be like longer if you want to feel like more feminine one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, higher or be lopsided. You know what I mean. Yeah.
I love it because I saw Lee with it. Lee came with the holster on. And I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I need to get one.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are so cool. And can you also show Brooke the equal sign?
Oh, yeah.
You also have the...
Yeah, that's on everything I design because it's for gender equality. So, yeah.
And the material you use is so it's
Thank you.
the real thing. It's good
Thank you.
stuff.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. But all of your stuff, I love it, and I really wish when I was growing up that there was a NiK Kacy in my life. This last year's Fashion Equality Week,
Equality Fashion Week.
I'm sorry, the last year. What did I say? The
Fashion Equality Week.
A little dyslexia. So last year's Equality Fashion Week, I was able to be in it, and you actually had thrown it together in just 4 weeks, and it was inspired by others such as Dapper Q and the other equality fashion shows that have taken place in the Bay.
Yeah, the queer fashion shows.
Or queer fashion shows in the Bay and New York. And I was honored to be a part of such a historical moment, walking with Dapper Boy, or walking for Dapper Boy. And it was such an educational moment of awareness and inclusivity. What are some things that folks can look forward to for this year's second annual Equality Fashion Week?
Well, this year, as you mentioned, the theme is unity, and so last year, because it was the first year, it was really about, like, first of all, like, could we even do it? What would it be like? And I think I'm very proud of it. I think it turned out really amazing, considering I only had 4 weeks and I did everything by myself. Like, I didn't have any help at all. This year we started in 8 weeks, so we gave ourselves double the time, and I also have like 3 of my friends who decided that they. So actually, one of them I had just met and offered to help, and I feel very blessed, to have like my friend Dylan, who is a trans brother and is the founder of Trans Gentleman Quarterly, and he comes with like 35 years of experience, and was like, "How can I help you, NiK?" And I was just like, "Oh my God, how can you not help me?" And so we have basically 11 designers. Over 115 models. We're gonna bring in dancing and music and fashion. We're gonna have live musicians playing, with the runway, and basically it's just about unity and bringing in all the different talents that we have, because our community is filled with so much talent, and it's so inspirational. And yet we are so underrepresented, and people don't get to see that. So I want to utilize this as a platform for the rest of the world to see just like how amazing we are, and like blow their minds away, So I'm really excited. I think the Globe Theater is, a historic, iconic theater. They just renovated it. It's beautiful. The technology is amazing. The space is amazing. Marilyn Monroe and Charlie Chaplin, like, they go there, like,
they have their go-to seats.
Exactly, they have their go-to seats and everything, and I think it's just, the space is something that I think is just a great opportunity for all of us to come together. Because even the host, like, I have 5 hosts, like 3 for the fashion show, 1 for the red carpet, and then 1 for the after party.
That's awesome. And
it brings in all together, like, particularly like with the fashion show, I've got, Michaela Gordon from American Idol, and then I've got Jasmine Creighton, who is an amazing, beautiful trans activist icon, basically, and then we have Murray Swanby from Reality.
Ex on the Beach.
Exactly. And I feel like, these are 3 really important people in our community who have increased awareness and visibility, for the L, the G, and the T, right? Yeah. And then Rose Garcia, who is on The Real L Word, is hosting the after party.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then Empress of West Hollywood is hosting the red carpet. So it's all perfect. I could not have imagined a better set of people to be a part of this.
That's so cool. I'm excited. I'm
Me
super
too.
geeked for it. And on October 14th to the 16th, you also have the pop-up experience
Correct.
at the High Art Tattoo Studio.
Right.
And you'll also have some of the vendors there as well. And
Yes.
they'll be selling their products. And
basically, I wanted to do it because I've been in so many different fashion shows around the world, and I realized that as queer designers, number one, we don't have a lot of capital. And so for us to do a lot of these fashion shows requires so much, like to prototype, to develop the collection. And these mainstream fashion weeks cost so much money to participate in that it's not really about lifting us. You know what I mean? It's like more like a business for the people throwing the party, right? And for me, I wanted to create something that, like, I don't charge designers to participate. I give them the stage to do it, and then for the, pop-up days, I give them the space to do their pop-ups, to actually sell their merchandise, because I want them to actually grow economically, because if they don't, how are we going to grow as a community? If we don't pay each other,
That's true.
how are we going to grow,
And the support in the community instead of competing with one another.
Exactly.
That's...
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
speaking my language, right? To my
Yes,
heart.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Also, so High Art Tattoo, that's where the pop-up is going to be.
Correct.
That's also Ruby Ink's studio,
Correct.
who also recently did a super dope chess piece for you.
Yes.
And she helped you finally have your chest the way that you always wanted as a kid, and it's taken you years to get to that point, and it's the beauty underneath that has been evolving, and to have the tattoo expressing the beauty within you and the meaning within, taking it skin deep to a whole new level. What was the tattoo of, and the meaning of each part of the piece? I know you shared a little sneak peek, and I know it's not completely finished.
It's not completely finished yet, but growing up, being born in the body that I was born in, I always, I think so many people will resonate with this, is like I would wear so many layers, covering up the chest, slouching, always just like whatever I can do to hide the chest. And I hated being at the beach. I hated going to the pool. Anything that would reveal my body, I was like, no.
Yeah.
So after I got surgery, after top surgery, for the first time, I remember like the first time I went to Target and bought like a bunch of T-shirts. And I couldn't try it on there because I was still recovering. So I brought them like 20 T-shirts home, and then I tried it on at home. And now my experience has always been going, whenever I would go shopping, it was like trying shirt after shirt after shirt and being like, nothing fits properly, right? And then, so here I was thinking like, I was probably going to be the same experience, right? But there was this ounce of hope because now my chest is different, right? So when I was home, I stood in front of the mirror and I put on the first shirt. And I put on the first shirt and I looked in the mirror and I remember being like, oh, like it fits. I was like, okay, well, maybe I got lucky. So I took it off and I put on the next shirt. And I put on the next shirt and I looked in the mirror and I was like, huh, it fits. And I think I did it like maybe up to 5 shirts. And then I called my mom. And I was like, finally, like, I can't believe you take for granted putting on something as simple as a T-shirt, but like a lifetime of never feeling like I could even put on a T-shirt right. And for the first time putting on those T-shirts and like they all just fit, looking in the mirror and being like, that's my body now. It was so amazing. And my mom started crying and we're both so happy crying, and it was so moving. And I get a little choked up just talking about it. But I think getting the ink on the chest was something I've always wanted to do because of that shame. So after the surgery, I was very torn because I was like, putting on the ink now covers the scars. And I didn't know how I felt about that because I was very proud of the scars because I worked really, really hard to get them, and I suffered through a lot of pain to get them to the point where now I can be like, this is my body, right? But what I realized was that in the end, I decided to do it anyways because what I realized was I've always been a lover of tattoos. And because as an artist, I know like the first tattoo I ever got, I told my mom it's because when I die, I can't take my art with me. I can't take the symbolisms with me. But if I put it on my body, I can take it with me. And so everything I put on my body means something really important to me. And so for my chest, it was all of these different elements that kind of represent my culture, my background, the symbolism of me. Like the swallows are these birds that are beautiful. And it's my Chinese name is that character, And then there's like the sun and the cranes and like all of these different, cherry blossoms and all of these things that are very representative of like the Asian culture. And I think that I just wanted to show like the beauty of my background, like from where I came from to who I am now. And I can take that all with me when I go. So
I love that.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to see the final.
Yeah, I know, me too.
What's that? Wow. Okay. Wow. Woo. Let's drink to that.
Yeah, cheers.
Let's drink to that. Oh man, not too many people get me choked up on this. Wow. Yes. So, I think that's a good note.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Why'd you have to point out that I was getting all choked up? So before we usually end an episode, we always end on words of wisdom. And I feel like you've given us so many words of wisdom throughout this episode.
Really, shucks.
But if you could leave us with one more words of wisdom, just anything. It could be just the first thing that comes to mind, whatever words of wisdom you can share to, whether it be, just people wanting to leave their job and follow their heart, or it could be someone trying to find their true self and battling with that. What are some words of wisdom that you can share with them?
There are so many. I feel like I've been very blessed that I feel like I've lived. I've had a very powerful journey where there's so many things that I could impart to others. And I think we all should. All of our learnings, we should always be sharing with others because that's how we all grow and be our best, right?
Yeah.
I guess if I had to, I think the most important piece of information or words of advice I could ever share is, for me, all of the things, all of those other little pieces of advice that I think are important all culminates from one major decision that I made in my life. When growing up, I always felt like I shouldn't have been born. I didn't belong. Like, why was I born? And in college, there was a series of events that led me to a moment where I had to make a decision if I want to live or not. And when I chose to live, I made a pact with myself that if I'm going to live, I'm going to make every second count. And I think that when you make that kind of pact with yourself, then all of your decisions after that are impacted by that choice, right? So what does it mean to make every second count? It means waking up every day and making sure that everything that I do means something, that it means that the things that I put out there into the world are meant to help make this world a better place, or that I want to leave this world better than I found it. If it means that I quit my job to do that, then it means that I do that. So I think that probably is the best advice I can give because it affects all of the other things, right? And so at the end of the day, it's just you have to ask yourself, like, how do you want to live?
Yeah.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
That was some deep shit. Midori, some words of wisdom.
Hi. I know your words of wisdom is find the cushiest, comfiest place to lay down. and then life is good, isn't it?
So to kind of piggyback off what NiK has been talking about, especially with like leaving a comfortable position of, economic value and a job that probably a lot of people want or love or whatever, and going off and being your authentic self unapologetically and doing things you love and doing things that you inspire and helping others. My words of wisdom to everybody is, if you quit now, you'll end up right back where you first began. And when you first began, you were desperate to be where you are now. So keep going. Through all the doubt, through all the people telling you can't do it, or, yeah, that's a thing, but, we don't care or whatever, to just keep pushing because, like you, and I'm pretty sure maybe like you and other people, that they want to be there. They want to be where, you are doing their thing and not working that 9 to 5. But fear holds them back. And when you get that opportunity to go ahead and make something of that and make promises to yourself, to just keep pushing forward.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Brooke.
Hey everybody, how you doing? In the summer, words of wisdom is why I forget them that fast.
Just speak from the heart. Bro.
No, I got it.
Always stretch beforehand.
True, always stretch. They get on me on my stretching, but no, words of wisdom I have is when you're on that path and you're on that journey and you're trying to make all these crazy decisions in life and try not to get detoured and distracted. A good rule of thumb or a good question just always ask yourself is this, whatever you're about to do, is this going to lead you to your goals? Is this going to give you the results that you want? So with that, think carefully about the life that you want to create. Just as NiK said, that's what we're put here to do. We're put here to create. We're all creators in some sort of way. So the main creation you can do is create your own life. So take that.
But also not to be too hard on ourselves either. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes like I do have to remind myself, like, you know what? I can also let loose once in a while and like go crazy and not be completely entirely focused on like these are the things. I gotta do everything in my power to like leave this legacy, and so therefore I can't have fun. No, I gotta have fun too while I'm doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, my words of wisdom. I feel like there's so many things brewing in my head, but I have to be completely honest. There's been one thing that's been probably keeping me semi-sane through the shitstorm, that I had been dealing with, and I feel like it's almost in a sense got me through, which was, and actually funny enough, came from Lee Dawn Hershey when they were here. Take a deep breath and know that that's where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And that really helped put a lot of things into perspective and just persevere through whatever you're going through, whether it's temporary or it feels like it's an elongated version of temporary. Just know that that's where you're supposed to be, and take a deep breath and know that it's temporary and it's not going to last. And, basically good times await you, and just persevere through it and stay strong and be true to yourself. And I really want to thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And you really, truly, authentically live your true, authentic self. And I love that. And that is so inspiring and so encouraging. I think beyond words. But before I go off on an emotional tangent, where can the people reach you and get some tickets for Equality Fashion Week?
So definitely want everyone's welcome. The Globe is a large theater, so we can fit a lot of people. You can go to equalityfashionweek.com to buy tickets. And we have so many different tiers of tickets because I wanted to make sure that everyone felt like they could afford to come. Mm-hmm. And then if they want to learn about my shoes, they can go to nikkacy.com. It's NiKKacy.com. You can follow me on Instagram. I've got so many Instagram accounts. NiK Kacy Footwear is one of them. Mm-hmm. Equality Fashion Week is one of them. And then NiK Kacy is my personal. Mm-hmm. I even have one for my dog, but nice. I'll forget. I'll leave that one be.
Yeah. And for booking, Midori, how can the people reach you?
Booking for Jampacked is lovedori@jampackedshow.com. That's LUVDORI @jampackedshow.com.
Definitely stay tuned for future episodes. You can always check out past and current episodes, this episode, on YouTube, youtube.com/Jampacked, as well as find us on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere, really, at Jampacked Show. And also, make sure you get your tickets, folks, for the Equality Fashion Week. It is the second annual It is the second annual Equality Fashion Week. The opening night gala is October 13th at the Global Theater in downtown Los Angeles. So get there. You want to be there on the red carpet. You want to talk to Murray. You want to talk to Michaela. You want to talk to Jasmine. You want to talk to everybody. Be there or be square. Definitely don't want to be square, so make sure you're there. And you also want to party it up with Rose at the after party going on. And then October 14th to 16th from 11, I don't know where that twang came from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Make sure you go visit them at the High Art Tattoo Gallery Courtyard on Adams Boulevard. That is 4870 West Adams Boulevard. It is 20 plus LGBTQ plus vendors. It is the fashion, music, food, art, entertainment, and more. You do not want to miss it. It's going down in the courtyard, and y'all do not want to miss this. I'm telling y'all, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this right now. The Equality Fashion Week. I'm telling y'all, the saliva is coming onto the microphone. Get your tickets at equalityfashionweek.com. You have any questions, concerns, discrepancies, hit me up. I'll forward you to NiK personally, okay? So make sure you get your tickets. Second annual, it is unity. We are uniting. We are talking. We are loving. And we are embracing and supporting one another. And check us out every Wednesday on Jampacked, wherever you get your podcast fix. Is that everything that we talked about? Make sure you find us on Facebook. And we will see y'all on the next Jampacked.